أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. As we said in the previous session, the issue of taqleed, the topic of taqleed, which is relevant to our daily activities, we deal with the concept of taqleed on almost all areas of life on a daily basis, whether it's prayer, fasting, hajj, what we can eat, what we can, or where we can work, what we can spend our money on, how we can earn, and where we need to, in some cases, it's an obligation to spend our money, and so on and so forth. These are things that we rely on taqleed for. We said that there are some questions that are raised in regards to taqleed. The first one is, and was, we tried to discuss it in the previous session, why taqleed in the first place? And we tried to explain what this concept of taqleed is and how it plays in with the teachings that we're all familiar with, the logic that we get from the Holy Quran, the logic that we get after understanding that we are the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we have a responsibility towards Him. And as He says in the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. How we can reach prosperity in life, the path for that is the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is only possible if we know what He has told us to do, what He has put on our shoulders as obligations, and what He has forbidden us from. And in order to get to that, we need to go through ijtihad, and if we can't become mujtahids, we're going to have to do taqleed. Now, we said there's other questions there as well. There's a second question we'll try to address in this session in regards to taqleed, and that is, alright, if we want to accept taqleed and we don't have a problem with following the expert, that is something that's very common, it's very logical. We apply that in not just religion, we apply it in other areas of life as well. We're not mechanics, we take our cars to the mechanic. We take our cars to the body shop. If I can't fix my car, I take it to the body shop. I take it to others, the experts, to do the work on it. If I am not a doctor myself, I need to refer to a doctor. If I have work from my computer, I need to go to a technician that can fix my computer if I'm not the expert myself. So that's pretty simple, pretty logical, everybody knows, and we don't disagree with that. However, the problem is, I would like to have an expert that knows how to deal with my situation. This is a question that is raised. Why do we have to follow the mujtahids, the maraja that are sitting in Qum or in Najaf or in some other Middle Eastern city and listen to their understanding of, or consider their fatwa, their views to be necessary to follow? Why is that the case? Which is an interesting and a good question. I think there's a lot of youth that have this question, especially considering when we get the responses from the offices of the maraja. Let's admit there are some of the fatwa that when we get them, when we ask the question and we get a response, it's not desirable for us to put that into practice. For example, I remember one of the times that this topic became a hot topic was on the issue of shaking hands. These people, these maraja, these great ayatollahs, which we all respect, they're great people. However, they don't know my situation, my circumstances. They're sitting there in Qom, in Najaf, where everything is segregated. They don't ever have to face a situation where a woman is going to put up their hand to shake their hands. None of those women there in Qom or Najaf are going to face a situation where a man is going to put their hand forward to shake their hands. So in that context, in that culture, in that region, people can follow these maraja because those are their circumstances. They can understand the circumstances of the people. Therefore, the solutions are fit for those circumstances. So that's absolutely fine. But they don't understand our circumstances. We go to work, then you go for an interview. If it's the opposite gender that's sitting behind the desk or sitting on the other chair that wants to give you the interview, first thing they want to try to do is build a relationship by shaking your hand. And the first thing you want to do is say, according to the fatwa, sorry, I can't do that. I'm not trying to be offensive, this, that, the other. Well, you can say all of that, but you're going to lose the job because of it. Or you need to go to dinners. The fatwa of the maraja is, okay, if they take you to any of these bars that a lot of times these meetings are held, or at least in some businesses I've been told, well, they have alcohol on the table, and this is a business gathering, it's a business meeting, and I can't say, you know what, I'm going to stand in the corner once you guys are done with your alcoholic beverages, then I'm going to come and sit down. But according to the fatwa of the maraja, well, that's what you need to do. So there's plenty of situations that we have here in the West that just are not dealt with on a daily basis the way they are here over there in those cities that these maraja live in. So the solutions that are provided, the answers that I give, that I'm given by these maraja, we don't meet eye to eye. They don't understand me. The solutions are not fit for me. I have loads of respect, but they're good for people living out there. I think I've explained the question enough. Let's try to get to an answer. The first thing that needs to be made clear is the maraja don't ever tell you that this is what you need to do in your particular situation and in your particular circumstances. They don't make a judgment. They don't order you. They don't say, for example, that when you go to work on this day, or when you go for the interview on this particular day, and you have the situation where this woman wants to shake your hand, or if you're a female, this man wants to shake your hand, then you shouldn't shake their hand. They don't give you that answer. They're not telling you. They're not making that decision for you. Or worded differently, they don't apply the law for you. Let me give you an example that hopefully is going to clear things up, and I hope it doesn't cause confusion more. One of the practical laws that we have is in regards to the sisters wearing makeup or wearing jewelry or shaping their eyebrows, or the clothing that they wear, the colors, the style, how tight it is, how loose it is, and so on and so forth. Forgive me, it's specific to the sisters, but it's an example that I think a lot of people can understand once we're done with this example. If you ask the maraja, is it allowed to wear foundation? Is it allowed to wear mascara? Is it allowed to wear eyeliner? Is it allowed to wear lip gloss? Is it allowed to wear this? Is it allowed to wear that? Can you wear the full thing? What if it's light? What if it's like this? What if you don't really shape the eyebrows, you're just cleaning around it? What if this? All kinds of these questions come, all right? And the response of the marja is always a very ambiguous, according to some, statement. They say, if it is considered zina, which is translated to adornment, at least when we're talking about makeup, if it's considered adornment, then it is not allowed. If it's not considered adornment, then it is allowed. All right? This is true in regards to the fatwa, all of the fatwa of the maraja. They say, if this is the situation that you're facing, then this is the ruling for it. And these are the exceptions. Now you as the mukallaf, you as the one who carries the responsibility of worshipping Allah, of listening to His commands, you have got to see if that law applies to you or it doesn't. The law that says you're not allowed to wear zina, does that apply to you when you want to wear, or you want to put on some concealer to conceal a pimple or something if it's a sister? Another example in regards to the brothers or to everybody is where they say that in a situation where it's extreme difficulty, something that is not it's not accustomed for people to bear that type of difficulty. It's too difficult. It's not impossible, but it's extreme difficulty. Very, very severe conditions. Well, that's one of the exceptions to the laws. All right. If there's severe difficulty, then many of the laws are going to be, there's going to be an exception to them. For example, the law of shaking hands or coming into contact. For example, when you're in the hospital and they have to come and check you, and it's someone from the opposite gender that has to do that, and you don't really get a say whether you want her or you want him. They won't really give you that. Like, this is the person that's going to be dealing with your situation. If you don't like it, you can get up and leave. And you're not in a situation to get up and leave. Well, they will provide you with that explanation. If it's such a situation, then this is what you're going to do. If it's a different situation, then that's what you're going to do. Applying that to your life is up to you. All right. Now, why is this important in answering this question and trying to clear it up? Because the laws of Islam are universal. The laws of Islam don't apply to the Middle East and not to the US. It's not like we have a different set of laws. It's not like we have a different religion when you come to the West compared to the East. It's the same sources, it's the same verses of the Holy Quran, it's the same ahadith, and we need to understand them. Once we have a clear understanding of them, then we have the understanding of the law. This is what the law is, no matter where you are. This is the law, these are the exceptions. You have to figure out if the general law applies to you or you're one of the cases of the exception. All right. It's not like since we're living in the West, then we have this privilege of having another set of laws, something somewhere that nobody knows about that applies only to the West. No, it's the same laws. All right. And the Maraja don't tell you even what you're supposed to do in that particular situation. They don't make that decision for you. They just tell you what the Quran says and what the Hadith says combined together. This is the general law, these are the exceptions. I don't know which one applies to you. You figure out yourself. All right? So understanding that, first of all of the laws of Islam are universal. Everything in Islam was given to us at the time of the Holy Prophet and the Imams for it to be there all the way until the end of time. It's not going to change because of time. It's not going to change because of location. Yes, a law is not universal in the sense that no matter what the circumstances are, they're going to apply to you. However, whatever exception to the general law is made, it's there in the Quran and in the Hadith and the Marja. It goes through all of that and tells you the general law and tells you all of the exceptions as well. There is nothing else that is there that you can look for. All right. And the second point to understand, and which we explained first, of course, is the idea that the Maraja don't even tell you what you're supposed to do in that particular situation. They just tell you the general law. You have to figure out if it applies to you in your situation or it does not apply to you. In the sense that after, like you have in any law, when they say that these are the places where you're not allowed to park in these hours, then when you're driving in the street and you want to figure out whether you can park in this corner or not, then you have to apply the law yourself. Figure out, is this one of those cases, is this one of those corners that I can park, or is it one of the corners that I can't park? It's pretty simple. They explain to you what the law is, you have to figure out what the application is. So since the sources are the same, and they only tell you what the law is, they don't tell you what you have to do in your particular situation, it really doesn't matter where they live, because those verses, those ahadith are universal. They could be living in the US or in Canada and understand the Quran and Hadith, give fatwas, and people in the Middle East have to follow. Or it could be the other way around, which it is right now, where the Maraja, the center of knowledge, is the Middle East. The Maraja are over there. They understand the Quran and Hadith and give us that universal message, all of the laws with all of the exceptions, and we have to figure out whether they apply to us or not. bringing the person here or leaving them there is not going to change the sources. This was the second question. Inshallah, in the third session, we'll try to get a little deeper than that and explain the answer to a third question, inshallah.